what can only be described as what's probably going to be a terrible day for a lot of people. The Xbox notifications for layoffs have started going out as of like right now, as the
Uh,
very second
real
we're recording this.
okay.
So apparently,
Yeah.
it's starting in Europe, which isn't all that surprising if you understand how time zones work, which sometimes I do not. So that's a fair assessment on self-reflection.
Right.
It looks like King is getting 200 jobs cut, which is 10%, and other notifications are still going out to like ZeniMax and other places. So you're going to see a lot of that today.
Hmm. Well, I mean, they waited a day. That's all I got, man.
Yeah,
There's,
I don't
there's
know.
not a lot of good news going on
No,
there.
there's really not. I mean, unless I want to talk about what I've been coding and I finally got things working yesterday the way it was supposed to be. I only screwed it up about 7 times before I landed on, oh yeah, that would actually make sense.
I've come to the determination that I'm going to call it native Windows programming is ridiculous
Mm-hmm.
and pointless. And I don't understand why it's so terrible, but it's never going to be fixed.
Well,
I
there's
think the
no.
last thing we had that was simple and kind of worked was Windows Forms, like 2001, probably 2002, whenever that came out. And ever since then, it's just, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I chose to use the hell that is WPF, and it's
Right.
working out. Okay.
That's that to me. Well, except for the fact that now that we're in the Windows 11 era, getting it to look good and make sense in Windows 11 isn't perfect because so many of the controls are out of date, and the theming thing they did in .NET 9 is okay, but not perfect. But man, it's still. I I keep. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's not worth beating to death. It's just that the app I'm working on is not horribly complex, I guess, by any standard, but it's the complexities of these frameworks makes
Mm-hmm.
it just stupid to understand when things happen and why. And I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
Windows, though, and that's development in a nutshell.
Yep, but this could be fixed. I mean, I look at stuff like Swift UI or Flutter, and I think to myself, there even React Native, although JavaScript is the problem there. And it's like this is clearly the right model for like kind of modern app development, if you will, but
Mm-hmm.
it's never going to happen on Windows. Not from Microsoft because
Other than the start menu.
well, no, I mean like an actual framework that
No, oh yeah, yeah, no, no,
yeah,
you're correct.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, because there's zero incentive for Microsoft to do this.
Yep. Yeah. And when there was incentive, they did it wrong
Yeah.
repeatedly. And I
You
just,
saying the UWP did not work out?
well, I mean, as a mobile app platform, obviously no, but that's what the
Yeah.
Windows App SDK is. It's just now they make desktop apps with the same framework. Basically, it's at least it's been modernized with WinUI 3, I guess. But it's terrible. I don't know how else to say. It's just terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I'll just one because I know nobody cares about this stuff. When something happens, a tab closes or a button is pressed or whatever it is, like an event. I kept looking for a way in WPF to like there wasn't a like there's a change event, if you will, or a has changed, but there is not a is changing for any of this stuff because what you want to do is intercept it before it does anything. And when you get to the Windows App SDK, that's one of the things that's there. Like they were like, oh, we didn't have this. This is stupid. It is stupid. And there are these workarounds you can do in WPF to try to intercept things before they happen, but it depends on the event and it depends on the control. And for the stuff that I wanted, like for tabs, for example, it's it just doesn't work. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't recommend tabs.
I don't either. And in fact, I've just committed to do this. And the truth is I hate tabs. I turn tabs off in Notepad and
Mhm.
like it is now the bane of my existence. And
It's a hard
again,
computer science problem.
it isn't because I watched videos that Apple made dating back to 2019 when they first announced it, and all the stuff that I just described and more is just built into this thing. It's just the way, it's like we're going to build something. They had the most archaic, stupid thing in the world before, the interface builder, Objective-C nonsense. And now they have the most wonderful thing in the world, but it only runs like a little bit. I need like Swift UI for Windows is what I need. We all need it. Just like we all probably need Safari for Windows or whatever.
Well, one thing,
So,
there's no way to transition to this.
I know.
Grammarly is acquiring Superhuman, which is
Yep.
Grammarly had a weird PR this spring about raising $1 billion, but I don't think they really.
Well,
it wasn't like raising $1 billion. It was like had a
was,
line of credit. I
it
don't
was
know.
funding, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, you actually have to go back to December because the thing they did then was they bought another company, and I lost track of the name of it, but in acquiring that company, they made that company's CEO its CEO, and they discussed this coming year we're going to try to turn into more like go from just grammar and spell checking AI to more of like AI productivity, like to be like Notion is trying to be, or like a little tech alternative to Google Workspace or Microsoft 365, et cetera. So the company they just bought, Superhuman, makes an incredibly expensive, by the way, AI powered email solution, and no one knows how much it costs, but the last time it was valued, it was close to $1 billion. So they might have spent all that money on it. I don't know. But their plan going into the funding round was to get some money together so they could make these acquisitions and position themselves as what is emerging as one of many, I don't know what you call these things. We have like ecosystems, and then we have these little tidal pools that are little islands
Tidal
of
pool
whatever.
of productivity is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Well, look, these things all, I was going to say interrupt. I'm not sure they interrupt. They just coexist, right? So you could, Proton kind of falls into this category. Notion, obviously, and you can see what they're doing. Yeah, so Grammarly, I feel like they're going to have to change their name, I think. I don't think Grammarly makes sense as the parent brand anymore, but their goal is to calendar tasks, chat, and then I presume, they do writing tools everywhere. Their writing stuff is everywhere. I mean,
yeah, but they feel like if there's a company that could be extinguished by AI, it's like, like
the standalone solution that does one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when every platform vendor, Google, Microsoft, Apple, is building those capabilities into their platforms, right? So Grammarly, whether it's, look, it could be, if it's 10 times better, maybe there's still an audience for it. I actually stopped using Grammarly because it got so bad. So I use a different tool now for that stuff. But I appreciate we see the asteroid coming, and
I'm not angry by this. It's
no. I mean, they have to do it. Like, this is what else
is
do.
They got to right. You got to take swings of the bat when you're at the plate, and so obviously they see like everything else in the world, like things are changing rapidly, and so they bought up Superhuman. I don't know the viability of Superhuman. They claimed they had $30 million in ARR. Somebody wrote that somewhere. I don't think that was public.
Yeah, I saw something. There were some numbers about number of users, number of companies, something. But like, a lot of companies will say, "Oh, we've been adopted by 90% of the Fortune 500," which means like one person at the company's evaluating.
Oh God, Startup can say that, and I've actually looked it all up. It's like how many people are running Start 11 and Fences in the corporate world, and what you do is you just look up like what email address would made the purchase or registered or activation, whatever, and it's like, oh God, look at all these Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 10, but then it's like it's not the whole company.
Yes, exactly. That would be amazing, right? All you need is like one or two of those, and you're good for the rest of your life.
Oh, everybody would know because this podcast would be done from like some sort of tropical island, and
exactly.
And I'd have like Bahama breeze.
It'd be mostly bragging about me doing nothing,
and a lopped off coconut with a straw in the middle of December. I've thought this through.
So I don't know. I don't know. Things are changing. A million years ago, there was that famous saying, no one ever got fired for buying IBM. And that clearly transitioned, to Microsoft at some point in the productivity space, right? Office, and then now Microsoft 365. They still have it. It's great. And it's mostly Fortune 500, and it's businesses, and a lot of smaller companies, startups go with Google and Workspace and start there. And then those companies tend to do the thing where they get Slack and they get Notion, and they they kind of pick and choose, right? And I think what we're seeing now with Notion and Grammarly and so forth is like that world evolving. Because I think there's a feeling now, maybe this monolithic Microsoft stuff isn't the right approach for everybody. Maybe it's too much.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could just be because we use different devices now too. I don't know.
We should all just go back to Windows 8. That was the end of it.
Windows full screen apps,
Yep,
touch, yep,
that's it.
side swipes.
I don't know.
It's funny you just said that. I am I'm trying to think what it was. I was doing something on my phone. So I went back to the iPhone because I want to test this liquid glass stuff in the new UI, blah blah blah, cross device, blah blah blah. I'm trying to think what it was. It was an Apple app, and it had a list of things, and I was like, all right, I want to get rid of this thing. And I long pressed, there was no option to delete it. And I was like, what the frick is this? And then I swiped on it. And when I did that, two options open up, like archive, delete, or whatever they were, but green and red, and delete was red, obviously. And I was like, yeah, that's the one I want. And I guess we're just doing hidden UIs now, like we did in Windows 8. Like I literally just thought that. Like I had to think about it and be like, how might they implement this? And I was like, oh, there it is. There was nothing indicating that that was an option, but just classic. I'm sure liquid glass is going to be great, though, so don't worry about it.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow.
Sorry.